All right, guys. Shane Howard here with another really, really cool episode that I want to give you guys of culture of influence. And today I have a really, really, really special guest who's also a very, 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 very good friend of mine, and definitely give you guys some context and how we met and those kind of things. But this is a guy who comes from New Zealand and has done something that very few people in the world have done, but no one from his country has done. And to most people who are listening to this who maybe have never been to New Zealand or don't know anyone from New Zealand, you guys probably associate, things to New Zealand, obviously the Kiwi, and then you've got things like the Haka, and you see, those videos going viral and, all over the internet. And then the All Blacks, the rugby there, and the elite of the rugby. I'm sure some of you in different countries might want to debate that, but on paper there's not much debate. So Piro Cameron is with us, and yeah, good to have you here, Piro.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Shane.
Yeah, all good. We're on a trip and we're kind of bouncing around. I don't have Brad with me, so for those of you that are listening, you won't see Brad sitting here. So I'm currently in the Gold Coast, Australia, and that's where Piro resides now. And I wanted to link up, and I wanted to help. I wanted to do two things. I wanted Piro to be able to have a platform to share his story in a unique way, much different than probably how he normally has. But also for us, I want those of you that follow what we do here on the Culture of Influence that end up coming and seeing Brad and I speak. I wanted to give you guys kind of a peek behind the curtain of what I think is easily one of the most interesting, but also one of the most engaging cultures of anywhere I've been in the world. So, Piro, if you don't mind, just share, kind of in your beginnings, and then kind of your journey, with as little or as much detail as you want, and we can kind of bounce around and super informal, and we'll go from there. Just make sure you're talking into the mic.
Yeah. And
we're good.
So a little bit about my background. I come from a little town, village almost called Tokoroa, born and bred there, and after a year I moved up to a place called Portland in Whānau, it's the north of the country. My folks, my mother is half Māori, half Niuean, an island off New Zealand, and my dad is Scottish. His dad coming from Scotland, and one born down the very bottom in a place called Bluff, Stewart Island almost, and my mum born right near the top, a place called Poroti Pipiwai in Whangarei. Very little, and we grew up in a place called Portland.
We'll have to have you spell those out so we can put in the description, because everybody right now is trying to figure out. I know where they are because I know the landscape and the culture, but they're in the North Island there. Beautiful country if you've never been. So go ahead.
Yeah, and they met in a little kind of timber village, little town called Tokoroa, Tokoroa. Really hard-working place. There's work. You got to work hard if you want it, and that's pretty much where I came through and grew up in a little town, a cement works town in the north called Portland, and destined to play the working man's game, rugby league. Rugby was for the private schools at that age. We were young, but rugby league was more the sport for the hard-working class. And I remember having my first game. I was 1 in the under fives, and I played till I was 15. And then my mother was a netball basketballer, so I switched over when I was 11. It started getting a little bit cold outside. The confines of a indoor facility like here.
Sure.
As you can imagine.
And to give you guys, not to cut Piro off, but give you guys a little bit of context for those of you that maybe aren't watching the video. You've probably seen me at some point. I'm about 6'6". I'm not going to put my weight out there, but definitely a big guy. I get big, broad shoulders. Piro makes me look like an average guy. He's about 6'6", 6'7", and
very fast. Very fast.
Much. I tell you, if you watch some of Piro's old footage on YouTube, you will definitely see that definitely his feet are much quicker than. I think that's some of his advantage when he did play basketball. Is people looked at him and thought he was a big, slow guy, but his feet definitely move fast. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of context. Very, 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 very much a large presence as a man. So you can imagine, those of you maybe who've never watched rugby league before or rugby in general, think of gridiron football players. Piro meets that. Meets that standard of an offensive lineman, just a big, just stout, stocky guy.
Wow.
He looks a little bit different now than he did back when he was playing, but we won't go there. So your mom played netball and basketball.
Yeah.
And your mom is very, very much a legend in some ways. She's well known there.
I think for her dedication as a coach.
Yeah.
She's not only did she coach my era, she was my coach. She coached my sister's kids, so it's the next era, and a lot of our friends and cousins and her teammates' kids. So she's done probably 3 different generations.
She's very much an ambassador of the game there for you guys.
Yeah, and she's still going. She coached in the NBL there for a season or 2, and she's always coaching. She loves it.
Yeah. I think I remember being. I was lucky enough to be in New Zealand a couple years ago when they had the first ever New Zealand Basketball Hall of Fame induction. And I remember your mom's name coming up, and I remember people telling stories and different things. It was really, really cool. I've not had the pleasure of meeting Piro's mom yet. Piro won't introduce me to her, so I'm gonna Piro's brother Raymond. I think I'm gonna have Raymond introduce me to her and get me up there. So
he'll introduce you to the Prime Minister.
Raymond. I'll meet everybody if I go up and see Raymond. So we may even try to get a guest appearance while I'm in New Zealand. We can add to this at the end where Raymond can talk about his brother a little bit. I'm sure Piro would love that. But so you started playing basketball. You kind of bucked the culture. You kind of went against the grain of basketball. Wasn't a super popular. I mean, it was popular. Yes, you guys were. I mean, obviously it was being played, but it wasn't the popular thing to do to go play basketball and not play rugby.
Yeah, I think the 2 in things in our town and our little Northland was was the 2nd division basketball, but also watching our Northland play in the 1st division. In the league and that, and we had superstars like the Goings. Who else? It's endless. And a couple of our friends went on and played there. Norman Berryman played there. We had current guys playing elsewhere, the Miller brothers. We had all sorts. I could go on and name more and more. And we loved our home teams. Didn't matter what sport. Yeah. But rugby and basketball were the main sports. And it was one or the other.
Yeah.
But we always supported each other.
Yeah, and don't miss that. So he talks about they always support each other, and that's definitely one thing that I have witnessed both from afar and from an involvement standpoint now. I joke we've done a lot, with CCR currently in New Zealand and different things, and worked with a lot of different families and different things. And I tell people, I joke, I say short of a traditional Modi tattoo and performing a haka, I feel like I'm part Kiwi, right? So it's the people there make you feel that way, and they support those that support them. And once you kind of become and I'm not going to try and use the Modi word for it, but once you become family, what is
Whānau.
Yeah, so I'll butcher it. I'm not even going to do that.
Whānau.
So Whānau. Yeah, so Whānau. Once you become Whānau, they accept you like that. And I'll share a little bit about some of my experiences with that as we kind of go through this process. But so were there people who Were there people who doubted you when you made that move?
I think, my mum always had an old kind of term, bit of vocab she used to use, and that's you got to have, skin like elephant skin, real tough.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't affect you, whatever they did. And of course we had haters, but they don't matter, and you don't pay them no attention. And you embrace and acknowledge the people who support you. I had a lot of family and friends that supported me. I had my nan, who was, very old, coming up to sitting on the stairs watching our games at this Kensington Stadium. I had my uncle who taught me the game, and he never played the game in nothing but bare feet up at the school park.
Yeah.
And he taught me the rigors of playing hard and playing against each other, and my dad was more of a leaguey, and he hated me putting on the basketball shoes from when I was younger, but he still supported me.
Sure.
Definitely on the financial side. He always worked during the hours of the day, so he never really come to watch us play.
Yeah.
Shift worker his whole life at the local cement works, so I'm very indebted to him, and all my siblings are as well.
How many siblings do you have?
There's 5 of us.
Yeah.
And
you're the oldest?
I'm the oldest.
Okay.
And I didn't feel like the oldest. I got beat down by 1 or 2 of the sisters as I was growing up, but I got them back. But yeah, I had a great kind of childhood in the manner that prepared me for.
Yeah. So I want to stop there for a second. So your mom. Pero, you probably notice a different tone when you hear Pero talk about different things, and first of all, I know he has the utmost, admiration and respect and love for his parents and his family. That's a very, very common Kiwi thing, and you'll even hear, probably even later, some of why he made some decisions that, he probably would make different decisions in today's world because of his love for his parents and that kind of thing. But it sounds like your mom really instilled into you, kind of that determination. And if I'm correct in saying this, New Zealand was the first country in the world to allow women to vote. If I'm almost 100% certain. So you guys were definitely ahead of the curve there, in a time where, and I'm not gonna tell Pero's age, but I mean you can find it out there. I mean he's not super old, but still in a time where it wasn't, and especially in a country, the size of New Zealand, they didn't have the internet. You're cut off from the world, and you only know what you hear about on the radio or see a little bit on TV or read in the newspaper. And it sounds like your mom really instilled some of what you still carry with you today and what you carried throughout your career. And the saying of, you got to have elephant skin and being, and you have to be tough and you have to be able to deal with things. And is that something that you were always self-aware of? Because you've kind of dealt with that, right? You've always kind of bucked the system in some ways.
I think we didn't deal with it as much as a probably sub 18, 19 being at the house.
Yeah.
Because I had such a fierce mother protecting probably all of us.
Yeah.
And she was teaching us the ropes of how to deal with certain things.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. In New Zealand we all hold the mother or the grandmother at a high stead.
Sure.
Because generally they
patriarch, and we call in the States patriarch. Patriarch. Yeah.
They last longer than granddad. They last longer than dad. So they're left with the big decisions, somewhat 10, 20, 30 years after dad or granddad's passed on.
Absolutely.
And you know what? They were there for the changing. Back in the day, dad used to work and come home when everyone was asleep. So mum held it down and dealt with everything during the day. But now mum works as well, so they still deal with everything and still work,
Yeah.
And dad, very lucky enough.
Now, is your mom still involved in the game? Still?
Oh
yeah,
always.
Yeah.
She just brought a team out, under 14s team, to my house.
Yeah.
I had about 12 kids staying at the house, and my mum, and the manager, and they just went about their business for 3 or 4 days. Hardly noticed them.
When she comes to your house, she's in charge.
Oh, I think me and my wife love the fact that we can just relax.
Yeah.
You know, you just,
Mom, she take care of you. She still.
we get up, dinner's ready.
Yeah.
We get up and
What's your favorite?
ready.
What's your favorite meal that your mom cooks?
Oh,
So something she would cook even as a kid. If you found out it was in the kitchen, you made sure you were there.
it didn't matter. I was there.
Anything.
Oh, she's
Anything.
cooking. I'm there.
Yeah, well, that's probably anybody, Pero.
That was the
big
rule
guy.
too.
Yeah,
If you weren't there,
yeah.
you might not be there next day. You know.
That's right. That's right. Did you guys eat as a family together a lot?
Yeah,
When you
without
could- when you
Dad.
could- when you
Mainly without Dad. He was still at work. So it was a chance to probably talk about all sorts of things during the day. What happened in your day.
Yeah.
But sometimes she wasn't there too. You know, she would cook, and then she was a sewer, so she'd go back to the sewing room and start getting all those hospital garments,
Yeah.
everything ready.
Nice. So she. Oh, okay. I learned something new. Didn't know that's what she did.
Yeah.
Okay, so so there's another theme to this, and again we talk about culture, and right now definitely digging into the makings of one of the best basketball players in the world, right? Coming from, and that's essentially where Pero took his abilities and some of what he's learned. So there's another theme that I'm picking up from your parents, and that is sacrifice. So your dad, he sacrificed a lot, and based on what you're telling me, and if I also remember in a conversation that we had, maybe even some of your siblings might have even had to sacrifice from time to time for different things. But when did you always notice? Was it kind of a thing growing up as a kid? Like, my dad's working his tail off, and he's sacrificing, and was that a ongoing conversation at the house? Was it?
I think I didn't notice it at the time as a kid. I noticed it probably in my last years at home.
Yeah. Which I think is probably common for most teenagers.
Yeah. That old adage. My dad, being from the descended from the Scots, very highly current bookkeeper.
Yeah.
So he wrote anything that went out of the house went on a checkbook.
Oh wow.
So he knew exactly what was going out,
going in, and going out. Yeah.
So he would write it out. He taught me how to write checks.
Okay.
And then just write down to the last detail. And then he would always write a check for anything to do with school.
Yeah.
Stationery, uniform, trip to go somewhere and learn about science. As soon as it came to basketball, he'd stop and look at me, take his glasses off, and have, here it comes, another line, here we go. And he'd say these things, you can do this depending on your grades. So I knew I couldn't do anything to do with basketball.
Yeah.
Unless I met what he wanted.
Okay.
So I made sure I got that B-, or I got that C, which is a pass. C's the passes. And then, he'd always ask for a bit more, but I knew I wasn't going anywhere with sport unless I did that. So and that's what he held against us.
So what year did you graduate high school? Just to kind of give these.
91.
91. So you graduated high school in 1991. I graduated in 1998. So Piero's much older than I am.
Couldn't tell, guys.
So in that process, give a little bit of, paint a picture for the folks who've never been to New Zealand and don't know much about the history. How big was the town? What's the population of the town you grew up in?
Oh, it used to be massive way back when the works was going. We must.
It's an industrial work.
Yeah, we must have had our school about 53 people, and about 40 of them were my cousins.
53 total. Don't lose that.
Yeah, that was like 3 classes.
How many rooms? So there's three rooms in the school.
Classes.
Yeah, 3 classes. Okay.
Yeah. And it was popping.
Yeah.
It was where I was from. It was massive. In fact, this city of Whānau, my mum used to call that Auckland, and trick me until I was about probably 9. And I thought I was going to Auckland every week, and it only took 20 minutes to get there.
And it wasn't that big in itself.
No.
Yeah.
We had about probably 50,000 people there.
Yeah.
And Auckland holds 1 million plus.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my school, and I thought that was everything.
Yeah.
growing up.
So you're seeing that, and that kind of paints that picture. Here you've got, a young Kiwi athlete who kind of bucks the trend, who has parents who are instilling things in him that I'm certain you guys are going to pick tones up in as he kind of progresses through his basketball career and his life. That a lot of what we learn. So if you're a parent listening to this, or you're someone who works with youth, the impressions that we're making on people, it has to be conveyed in a very direct way, but also, as you heard, there's Piro worked his tail off, and you guys will learn. Like he had some God-given ability, but he's not dunking from the free throw line, and he's not like there took a massive amount of work to get to where he ended up, and he clearly that was modeled, by his dad and by his parents. I mean, I just aged him. We're definitely not going to age his parents, but as he said, they're still working, and they're still, they're still active, and they're still doing these things. That is very much part of the culture. So what was it? So you're going to high school, and when did it ever hit you in those youth years that basketball wise, I think I'm better than most other guys that I'm playing against or playing around?
No, I think, where I'm from, we're known as a city of guards. Everybody was a guard because there's no bigs. So if you were 6'2", you were pretty much a center. But everybody played guard, grew up as a guard, and it wasn't until the last year of high school and maybe the next 2 years that you got pushed into being a 4 or 5 man, a center or a power forward. I didn't grow until my last year of school. I grew from about 6 foot to about 6'7".
Oh wow!
Okay.
So you were a guard. So you were a guard.
Yeah, I was point guard.
Okay.
And I was point guard on the court, and I was a halfback, or what they call a hooker, on the field.
Yeah.
So I was very much a little man, but always had the ball.
Yeah.
And I think I was able to take a lot of those guard skills to being a big guy later in my career. And I think that first year or two out of high school really made me kind of look different because of the ball handling ability.
And a bigger guy.
Yeah, and I think that's what was the difference, and I was able to make bigger teams then.
Yeah.
I couldn't make no big teams when I was younger.
Yeah. Did the physicality of growing up playing rugby, did that equate or help you at all playing?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. There was nothing more kind of better than to prepare me for confrontation than the game of rugby league and playing against all of the North. I mean, we had
grown men hitting and grabbing and pulling and.
Oh, I just remember seeing kids that were their families and parents were part of gangs, and then the kids walking out on the field, and I'm like, ooh,
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but you know what? Everybody was taught the same thing.
Absolutely.
Like when we walked out on the field, I don't know what's the terminology. I don't know if I should use the word predator, but
no, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
we're all
But
all predators, and we're all on top of it when we
Yeah.
walk on the field. And it's only after the game do you feel like a victim.
I'm actually glad you worded it that way because I believe that's the case. And whether even if you're in business, right? Business. Listen, we're not talking about like just casual play. When you're playing a competitive sport, when you're in business, everybody is a predator. Yes, you can be eaten by the next person to take your spot. Somebody's always looking to take your spot.
You could lose to somebody.
Absolutely.
Somebody
wants what you have if you're in front, right? Yeah. Everybody's always gunning for you. So you go through high school, you start growing. You grow. Now all of a sudden, you're a good basketball player. Now you're bigger and can play with the grown men than a basketball player. What was your experience Tell me about the first time you probably traveled to Australia some as a kid. Did you come over?
I went
this
as
way?
a 17-year-old and the under 20s, 16-year-old and the under 20s.
So was that the first time you left the country at
first
17?
Time. And I always wanted to travel, because I wanted to
Yeah.
get out of my little town, little village, Portland.
And why did you want to do that?
Just to see the world.
Yeah. So
everybody
that
in my village, 80% we were related to. They're my cousins, and I see them every day, and we're really close cousins. all of us.
So the Kiwi culture back then, and even still some today, I think it's definitely changing. Was you grow up, you graduate high school, and then you just stick around and help the family and stick close?
Yeah, like I come from a big, really big family and a village community that stuck together, and the young kids were always seen and not heard, So we knew our place. We weren't to speak. We were meant to wait and just let everything go, and then later in the night we could do things,
Yeah.
So I wanted to get out, and so did my mum wanted to push us out. She said, you got to go. Here's a chance, go. Don't stop. Ride that wave. Keep going and going and going.
Yeah, absolutely. So you traveled. Where was the next country you visited after Australia? Is that the States? Is that when you came over?
Might have been actually it was the States, and doing the development tours over there with the national team. Man, we were getting smacked left, right, and center, just playing in a way.
What was the biggest cultural difference you noticed by? Because Australia and New Zealand, they're close by. They share some of the same culture. You came to the States, that was a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, I think Australia, there was 2 or 3 states who were clearly better than us,
yeah.
and there was 2 or 3 states we competed with. But when we got to America,
what did you know about the United States before you got there? What was your preconceived idea?
These guys were eating savory stuff for breakfast. They're eating. I was like, no, they're not. And they're like, yeah they are.
Yeah,
that was pretty unbelievable. But the basketball, just the dog-eat-dog mentality.
Yeah.
The best player had the ball 80% of the time.
Yeah.
They just were relentless in how much effort and time and money and TV and everything they put into the game. I was like, wow, this is where I want to be.
A lot of passion.
A lot of passion, a lot of resources in it, a lot of support in the crowd. It was just phenomenal.
Which is pretty interesting to hear from a guy who comes from a country where, to start a major sporting event, you guys exude maybe what I think few people would argue around the sporting world as the most passion of any sports team.
Look,
and that's the Haka. I'm pronouncing that correctly.
But when you see the All Blacks, a little bit special. The All Blacks, we couldn't go to an All Black game, but it was on TV for free, so we watched it.
Yeah, and
our eyes were glued, and no one was more passionate about it than us. But basketball was their rugby, was our rugby.
I've spent so much time in your country that the hair actually stands up on my arms when I think about a haka and when I think about that is. And can you share with those folks, what a haka is, because I think definitely if no one sees it, it looks very, when you say predator and they think of the haka, it probably is a little bit intimidating to some people, but it's actually not an intimidating thing at all most of the time.
So today it's a sign of respect
to the opponent.
Absolutely. And it's a challenge and preparation to throw down and let's put everything into this game today.
Yeah, and the history of it comes from a very warrioristic.
Yeah, it's
time to go to battle.
First to die on the field is considered it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And we're here to die today. I hope you guys are inviting death. This is going to be a great war today. Let's go.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, and that's the same thing in sports, right? And that's how
absolutely. You empty the tank.
Yeah, give it
all out there on the field or the court. Afterwards, we're friends.
Yeah, absolutely, and then that is the case. So if you've ever seen it and you've had a preconceived judgment of it, hopefully that clears it up for you, because it is very. I've seen it in different scenarios. The very first time I ever saw a haka perform live in person, I was actually at the airport, and there was a young man coming back from overseas, and I think he had been gone some time, and I'm quite certain a majority, if not all, of his close and extended family were there at the gate when he come through customs,
welcoming him,
and you could hear it ringing throughout the airport. And it was. I mean, you just have to stop and admire it, because what I notice about the Kiwi culture is the fact of how much effort and how much time you guys pay respect to your culture. And it is very much, even today. I noticed that about your brother when I watch him on, Facebook Live or different things. He very much tries to show respect, and he'll carry on, and he'll say something, and then he'll say it in the Modi language, and then he'll go through, which I love, because you guys still, because time happens, right? The English language happens, technology happens. It's taught less and less, in school, so it can be forgotten. And this is one of the few places in the world where it's not forgotten. It's not forgotten, and I absolutely love it. So you start playing basketball. Let's fast forward a little bit. Now all of a sudden, you're playing with the national team, and you're 20, 21, right in there. Is that kind of when? So you didn't he didn't come to the United States and play.
No.
And had opportunity.
I think I did. I think I had an opportunity to go to a couple schools. One was the BYU in Hawaii. I think Colorado State, maybe a couple others. And at that time, the year before, there was a couple guys that I think college life just didn't agree with. A couple of the Kiwis that went over, 3 or 4.
Bit of a culture shock to them. And
I think 1 or 2 ran into problems with the law.
Yep.
And my mum said, no, you're not going there. That's red flag right now.
Yep.
So she pushed me down to Waikato, and I enrolled at the Wintec there. And right there was a sports academy that teaching you how to be an athlete, a professional athlete.
Yep.
And we met all sorts of, great, famous guys that went on to play not just rugby, but went on to be Olympians and play top grade rugby in the country, netball, every sport you can think of. Everybody wanted to be representing New Zealand and go as far as they could. They were there, right? And we were the second intake to go through, and I went through with a basketball player guy named Judd Flavel. He's currently with the Breakers.
Absolutely,
and,
great guy.
Yeah,
great guy.
And he's from where I'm from.
Yeah,
and so we had the same dream. We managed to go in there and have 2 years playing with the local Waikato team.
Did it help having somebody there from home?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
He was. Sometimes he was a pain, but he was awesome for me.
Yeah, but you knew he had your back. You knew
always.
Yeah.
He's gone on, and he was with me at the World Champs in 2002.
Yeah.
And now he's a very good coach, and he coaches in the New Zealand League and for the Breakers.
Absolutely. So, how much did it mean to you back then? When did you? How old were you when you made your first national team? When you were full on?
I think I was. Turning 18. Yeah.
And how much did it mean to you? Did you understand when you first made it, or was it something that was always kind of around in the sports, communities there in New Zealand? How much pride comes along with, wearing that, that New Zealand singlet?
Oh, amazing! Like I had some heroes and idols of mine that had played it for the last 10 years. I had the captain, his name is Glenn Denham. I had a guy who was in my position. I looked up to Peter Pokai.
Yeah.
I had my cousin Byron Vaitoi, who probably should have. He's an unbelievable basketball player, and he probably should have taken that scholarship at the for being a quarterback. He was an unbelievable quarterback, over there. But they were all my heroes, and I was so happy to be.
There's a massive sense of pride. Right?
Oh, huge.
Huge. It's a small community there, within the sports world in New Zealand, but the country in itself is, it's 3-4 million people, and there's a lot of pride, like most countries. So you represent your country. You're traveling around the world, where most people, back then, I would say there's even a lot of people who probably thought New Zealand was just an island that was part of Australia. It's just over there. It's what have you. And having that pride that comes along with it, did that give you an extra sense of motivation to work on your game and to get better? Was it like you wanted to be the best you could be to represent? Like you were in the basketball world when you traveled around and you played, you and your teammates. That might be the first and only experience anybody ever had to New Zealand. And I mean, was that was that part of? Did that come from your coaches? Was that just ingrained from a society thing, or?
I think my first touch of, first time we played Australia gave me that desire to be bigger and better.
Yeah.
Because they just whipped up
the
on
big
us.
brother next door. You wanted,
they
yeah.
killed us. And they had an older team, and my thoughts was, well, when they go, they're not going to be as good as they think they are when the new crew come through.
Yeah.
And so we waited a long time. We didn't get that time until I think 2000.
So 2000, what'd you do? 2000, where'd you play? That was the Olympics.
Sydney Olympics.
Sydney Olympics.
Yep.
Was that special for you, being that close to home?
Very, very special, I think. Just because we know we had competed with Australia.
Yeah.
A couple events prior, a couple years prior, but also, the Australians were expected to finish top 4, even third.
Sure.
So
who was playing? Who were some of the top people there in Australia playing at that time?
Oh, they had. Leading up to it, they had obviously Luke Longley.
Yep.
They had a young CJ Bruden.
Yeah.
They were very good.
Yeah.
Gaze.
Yeah. Andrew Gaze.
Obviously Shane Heel.
Yep.
They had them all.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So they were.
I remember why Australia was one of those teams. In the States, you enjoyed watching. And when
they were tough.
Yeah. And they had their own style of basketball and quick, and
they had a great
moved the
history
ball
of
really, really well.
Too,
Yeah.
So, and they were tough. And they competed. They didn't quite get it, I think.
Now, where did New Zealand finish that year in the Olympics?
We started off with a hiss and a roar. We come really close to beating France. I think we had really close to Italy, and both losses, and then we fell away as the tournament went on.
And so you guys are there. You go and you play, and you guys don't have any world-known athletes at that time. There's no NBA players playing with you guys.
We had Kirk Penny and Sean Marks. They were the American base. One was in college at Wisconsin.
Yep.
And I think the other had just started his career.
Yeah.
In the NBA and never really played. But they were our heroes,
Yeah.
We only dreamt about going to college, and here's this guy in college, Kirk Penny, shooting it up, doing really well, and obviously Sean Marks making it the next
and hearing him
level.
come home and tell the stories about life over there, and
they're wearing all the latest gear home, and I just remember
shoes. I'm sure the shoes stood out.
Shorts they just voluntarily gave me. It was amazing. Thank you, Kirk. Thank you, Sean.
Absolutely. Now, what are those guys doing now?
Yeah, Kirk's got 2 with a lovely wife, Audrey. I'm not sure where they are.
Sean Marks is.
Options.
Sean Marks now is.
Sean Marks is in some big time team, Brooklyn, I think, and running the show there.
He's an executive for an NBA team, and which is pretty cool. I've never met him, but he's
great guy.
Everybody I've ever heard talk about him
always down the line
have nothing but positive things to say about him. And
his family, actually, when I was young, his parents, they used to, the mum and the brother and the dad, they used to billet me in Auckland. Oh, luxury, life of luxury.
Yeah, billet means put up. They let him stay at their house
me for a week or 2.
Yeah, and you'll notice that again. It's notice the tone of his voice and how everybody's family and accepting everybody in, and he definitely. I know Piro is very competitive, and when he competes at something, he's very much like I am. Nothing's going to get in his way, and if you tell me I can't do something, good luck, because you just created a monster, and you're going to do that in a lot of ways. And so these people that he speaks so highly of, and so much, care for when he talks, and if you notice, he talks about their family first. He didn't talk about what they're actually doing, because he definitely battled with these people. He definitely has had competition with these people and those kind of things. But it just comes back to that caring and that love and that that doing the right thing, right? We can all compete, and I talk a lot about that. I want to build the biggest empire that I can build, whatever I'm doing within my business, by doing it the right way. And and I'll share a little bit about how Piro and I met here in just a minute. But I don't necessarily want to. I'm not here. Like, there's competition I actually enjoy because I have the utmost belief in myself and the belief in what my abilities are. So competition doesn't bother me. I'm not here to tear the next man down or tear the next building down. I just think that I can build mine bigger by doing it the right way. And so 2000, so kind of getting back to Peril. So 2000 Olympics, you start off, it's exciting. It's, you got a lot of family there, a lot of support, and then you don't necessarily have the run that you want to have in that Olympics.
No, but, first time Olympian, and something I'm going to treasure, and something for mum and dad to turn around and be proud of, and you got to tick that box because they're the ones that help you get there, and, something special for me because I had 3 younger siblings, and Jeannie, Ray, and Zeta. And one thing my dad said when I was leaving, he said, don't push us up against the wall because there's no more. Maybe your sister, meaning Jodie, will get through.
Yeah.
But we can't afford the next 3.
Yeah.
Because it's just too expensive.
Yeah.
So I knew all the opportunities, everything was thrown into our basket. Everything was launched.
So they made a lot of sacrifices for you.
For me and my sister, right? And that's what they said.
And you're still super close to your siblings. Those are.
Oh, it's just because I knew the next 3 weren't going to get the same opportunities.
Yeah.
And when I went and watched them play high school ball, and
did that put a sense of pressure on you?
Oh yeah, huge. Because I know that they haven't got what I got given.
Yeah.
And you start imagining, like, you don't think like that. You think, man, this is just normal. But when you look around and your mum and dad say, it's just you and your sister,
and they
not
knew
these
that.
3.
Your siblings knew that.
No, they didn't. They were too young.
Oh, okay.
I was just looking at them like, damn, it's all me.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they shared that with me.
Yeah, yeah.
And going and watching them all play in high school, they were clearly more talented.
Yeah.
My brother was exceptional.
Yeah.
The next sister was, she was 6'6", point guard.
Yeah.
Exceptional. The youngest one was better than them all.
Yeah.
And, it just almost made me cry knowing that they weren't going to get that opportunity that I got. And I was really lucky. Me and Jodie, we both captained the national team and we both went to the Olympics.
Yeah.
So I think, whereas we may not be as talented as them, we're a little bit more determined to make things work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and they come from a different time, different
era.
New Zealand changed quickly. From the 80s, 90s, 2000s, it progressed and it changed.
I remember doing the dishes all the time back then. When they grew up, they had a dishwasher. I was like, what's this? My mom turned around and said, these are the times.
Yeah, you were the dishwasher. Yeah.
I was like, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So fast forward 2 years later. 2 years later, you're playing in the World Championships.
World Champs, another, way back when I was 15, there was an opportunity to fill out some grants. They were the Hillary Commission back then, and if you set some goals and you go about, put a training program in, they give you $500 towards it, and I remember filling it out and giving it in, and I forgot to put the goals in. The lady, Whānau Tamanu, who was there, she's a big-time netball coach and one of our greats for netball. She said, "But you got to put some goals in." So I put these goals in about playing Olympics, captaining, and getting a medal. Well, 2 of them happened, and not the medal, So I'm still chasing that medal as a coach.
Yeah, but you guys went on a heck of a run, and basketball fans from around the world will remember this. You had no NBA players, and you guys had an unbelievable draw going in.
Look, I think there's a lot of things that fell our way, but we had pretty amazing coaching staff who were pretty determined.
Who are your coaches then?
Tab Baldwin and Nenad Vucinic. They're both, one coaches in Philippines, the other coaches in Italy in top league there. Both amazing coaches for us, but their preparation was second to none. Really smart.
So
guys.
teaching you how to get prepared for
preparation is everything. First game was against Russia. We scouted the heck out of them. It was a little bit older team. They were getting towards their wouldn't say twilight years, but definitely they were going to celebrate their career in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
A guy Whānau, another guy, they were
So
absolute
so your national team coaches definitely taught you some stuff.
Oh,
And it had really probably nothing to do with basketball at all. It's it's
sometimes it didn't feel like it. It just
yeah.
we-
What were some things that was there anything you took away from those coaches that you still kind of stick to today in your personal life?
just I
You
think
mentioned preparation. You
like
show
the
up
mental games they play with you, just amazing.
yeah,
Just
to get you mentally strong.
to get you over the hump, to get
Yeah.
you over the line.
Yeah.
And just the planning. It's
Yeah.
very, very good planners, and something we're still learning today. But they put some ideas in our minds,
Yeah.
that next group. But they got us across that first. Once we beat Russia, anything was possible. We
Yeah.
knew it.
And that's what that so your coaches. So what did they? I'm on a big kick right now of, especially with the youth, showing kids or showing people. I think one of the most powerful things you can do is just letting someone know you believe in them. So what gave you guys the belief? I mean, here you guys look. You've never medaled. You've never really never competed. You've definitely competed, but what I'll call the big dogs, right? Your big European countries, North America. What in the world made you guys think that you could come from a country of 3 million people and you could compete? What gave you that? What?
We had a core of guys who were been together for over 10 years. That really helped. 10 years together, playing for juniors and then into seniors. And then we added some really special players as well. They were very different. They could really do things differently than the normal way the game is played. Look, our belief was massive. Riding each win, making it really hard to go to sleep at night because you're just in disbelief about what happened that day. But it was all brought back to earth when I think we went into a game against the US team, halftime we're down 55-52. And I remember walking through the changing room door.
Who was on that US team?
Some pretty good players. Paul Pierce, Finley, Richardson was there, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, they had a gang of players.
Nothing but NBA All-Stars.
They were pretty good.
Yeah.
There might have been one or two big names missing, but
yeah,
they were still good.
Kobe, was Kobe there? Was Kobe on that team?
Kobe wasn't there.
Kobe wasn't on that team.
Yeah.
Kevin Garnett, was he on the team?
Yeah, I think he was there.
He was pretty good.
Yeah, Garnett was there a lot of times.
Yeah. So you walk in the locker room, down 3 or 4 points at halftime.
Yeah, I think it was 55-52 or 55-50, one of those. And I remember the door closing, and I was just so ecstatic, and what's the word, complacency, a little bit happier than you probably should be.
Yeah.
Not
Got a little comfortable.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, we're still riding those wins throughout the whole time. And then we went out and we lost by 50.
Yeah.
And I was like, hold on. Last time we lost by nearly 50, 40-odd.
Yeah.
Half-time, it's a 3-point game, and we still lose by 50.
50 points.
Yeah, I just went, ooh. Okay, reality.
Yeah, yeah. A little slap in the face.
Yeah. And I was just like, wow. Like, how did that happen? I thought we were ready.
Yeah. And it happened quick.
Real quick.
Yeah.
So
that's probably the biggest loss you've ever experienced from the sports world, like in that.
Americans generally, I don't know if them and Tall Blacks, the 50 points is that barrier they just can't seem to break too much.
Yeah.
But they get right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was good. Refocused us, and then we were able to get focused for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, and you guys finished fourth?
Yeah, we lost
in the Worlds.
We lost in the semis to Yugoslavia. That really killed us. Really, game we were leading most of the way, and we lost, and we really never got over it, and we still focused a little on that in the bronze medal. Lost to Germany by 20.
And still fourth highest, I think you guys have finished in the world, I think, is still.
Yeah, it's the best we've finished ever.
Absolutely. And how much pride did that give you? How much?
Oh,
what kind of reception? I'm assuming
I was depressed for like 6 months. Why?
You felt you went so close, but it wasn't a medal for you. It was my country.
Medal for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's always been that trying to put the Kiwi on the map and say, hey, you know, like we can get this Kiwi to this team as an import. You know, traditionally around the world, you get the American.
Yeah.
But I wanted really.
I want
the world to say, let's get the Kiwi. You know,
yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Just so that there's more than what the eye meets. You know?
Why? What is that? So we'll get to it. But you actually, what you didn't know is everything you were doing and the hard work you were putting in would eventually do that. Would eventually shine the light on, and we'll get to that in a minute. But what? Obviously, there's personal accomplishments.
Yeah, I think just as an athlete, I was a little bit selfish in wanting the win and wanting the medal.
Yeah, I don't think it's selfish. I think it's called being competitive. So yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
When you're a coach, you look back at it as being a little bit selfish.
Sure. Yeah. And that's good. So you realize you were selfish. You realize as a coach you can look back and do some self-assessment and say I should have done this differently. I should have done that, and that's a massive.
We should have done. You know.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
And you know, they like I know a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys that Pirro played with. You know, the Mark Dickles of the world, and you know these guys. They're still involved with the game. They're still very much this sense of pride. Of trying to continue to uplift the game and nurture the grassroots part of it. And that's the really cool part about what we get to do is we get to see that, but we get to interact and you know and play a real small part in that. But for you then go and you're playing overseas, you're playing internationally, you're playing professionally. Whereabouts did you kind of bounce around?
I had 4 years in England. I was there. I really enjoyed it there. But I really wanted to get my passport.
Who'd you play with?
I played Chester up there with Robbie Pearce and Mike Burton.
Was that a culture change for you going to England?
Unbelievably. The people I met there, especially teammates, they're still friends and family today.
Yeah.
And it was just a nice, special time.
Yeah.
Of for all of us.
Yeah.
And the people there were just so down to earth, you know.
Yeah.
The coach and the ownership.
Absolutely. So now kind of fast forward a little bit. Now we're going to dig into a couple things. So your basketball career ends from a playing standpoint. And what regrets do you have? Do you have any regrets looking back?
I don't know about regrets, but things I could have done better. You know, when you're an athlete, you're blind to what your family at home is, meaning your mum and dad and your siblings, and also your partner and your immediate kids, you know. I mean, they've just been following your career.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden at the end of it, where are you?
Yeah.
And you got to be a little bit mindful of what they want to do and things, you know, they got boxes they need to check off too.
And that's what I was going to say. Even now, you've kind of assumed the role in some ways like your dad. You know, you have different dreams and different things that, you know, coaching different places internationally you'd love to do, but you've kind of let those take a back seat.
Massively, you know.
For your kids.
Yeah, I had two boys who were struggling in their last 2 years of high school that, you know, I was chasing my dreams and it was probably pushing me further away from my family. And, you know, my sons needed help, my family needed help, so I kind of squashed everything and to put them in a better place than what I was at. And, you know, I'm very happy now that I see my daughters.
Yeah, now you get to spend a lot of time with your daughter, and the boys are out of the house, so you know she rules the roost now, I'm sure.
It was really hard because you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know, you got these dreams you want to chase, but you're going to chase it for another 20 years. You just chased one dream for 20 and did really well, and then you're about to put your family on the back burner for another 20.
Yeah.
You know, so one of two things had to happen.
Yeah.
And you know, I chose the welfare of the kids. I think, and in the process, it's probably made me better.
Oh, I
you know?
would. Yeah, I mean, Imperial
Everybody's
and
happier.
Imperial and I have known each other for going on 5 years now, and you know, Imperial and I just have I think since the first time we talked, definitely, but the first time he and I met face to face. So I'll give you a little bit of context. So obviously, you guys know I own and CEO a sports academic and athletic recruiting company. We help high school age athletes around the world access opportunities to come play sports at a university here in the States. And we work with student athletes all over the world. This was 5 years ago. And I always tell this story because if you ever go to New Zealand and you mention Pero Cameron, virtually everybody knows him. Right? Somebody, and if they don't know him, you just tell a little bit of the story and they know exactly who you're talking about. He has that kind of presence. And in a very humble way, I actually get on Pero quite a bit that he doesn't push his own personal brand and own personal things out there to access some of the opportunities that he's created because of the hard work that he put in years and years ago. And I'll never forget this story. My wife actually still remembers the story. So I will confess, 5 years ago, I had no idea who Pero Cameron was. Not a clue. And Pero was living here in the Gold Coast and heard about what we were doing here in Australia. And you're welcome to cut me off or correct me if I tell anything off. But he heard about what we were doing and somehow got my phone number from somebody. And I'm sitting at home and I'm eating dinner and the phone rings. And I get international calls all the time, so it's nothing for me to answer. And I answer the phone and I'm eating spaghetti or something, sitting there. And my daughters, we're talking about school, and the phone rings. And can I speak to Shane? I said, well, this is him. And he says, well, this is Pero. And I sat there for a second, and I thought, well, shit, I don't know who Pero. I don't know Pero. I said, all right, Pero. I said, you got to give me a little bit more than that. He said, Pero Cameron. I was like, gosh dang, I'm clearly supposed to know who this is, and I don't know who it is. So if any of you, definitely 5 years ago, my computer is always on and always open anywhere I'm at. So I'm Googling kind of as he's talking. I quickly figure out who it is. And then I'm thinking, well, first of all, how'd you get my cell phone number? And two, why are you calling? So he proceeded to explain. He heard about what we were doing in, here across Australia and helping athletes. And not only what we were doing, but how we were doing it. And he said, how, and this is going to speak volumes. And this is why I wanted to save this part to the end, so you guys can piece it all together. He called me, and one of the first things that he said was, hearing about what you guys are doing in Australia, what can I do to help get something like this or help get you guys into my home country? Because I would like to create opportunities for kids back home where I grew up, just like you're doing here. And immediately, I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know if he was a good guy, a bad guy. I knew nothing. But I learned all I needed to know about a guy willing to take time out of his day that has done the things that he's done, to just pick up the phone and call somebody and help kids that he doesn't even know. That just because they live in a country where he came from and play a sport that he played, he has a sense of pride, but a sense of predators sometimes are protectors. And with the game of basketball, now you and I have definitely had some very private and very intimate conversations about how protective you are of the game. And the game means a lot to you, but your country means a lot more to you. And it just so happens that sports allows you to give back to your country. And am I so far? I'm accurate so far on this.
Yeah, I think I had a lot of help with that with my my national team co-coaches and staff. Right down to the physio, also the masseuse and the current head coach.
Because you don't make a lot of money coaching youth in basketball in New Zealand.
Oh, I soon realized this is where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the money.
Yeah.
It was the people.
Yeah.
I want to be around my people, helping out the young ones where I can.
Yeah.
Get opportunity where maybe I didn't get the same opportunity.
And that's what you said to me. You said, because I think there's a lot of kids in our country can have opportunities that I either didn't take advantage of myself, or I wish I would have taken advantage of back then, because I could have, and the culture was different in your country. That's why I wanted to set some pretenses. It was different. Now, I think, and I'll say this tongue in cheek, but by the time Piro's boys were 16, 17, he was ready to get rid of them. At that point, but I'm kidding. If you ever get to meet Piro and his boys, they're comedians. Like they truly are. They're always, pulling jokes and pranks on each other, and they don't take life too serious. And I've always picked up on that, and I've actually tried to learn some of how you are as a dad, and kind of watching afar and hearing about your interactions. And you and I have a lot of those conversations. I think a lot of people would see us together and think we just talk about sports all the time.
Absolutely. There's a lot of serious parts of life.
Yeah.
And if you keep being like that, you'll be highly strung, and I ain't got too much more hair to lose.
Yeah, well, mine's turning gray. Piro's losing his, and mine's turning gray. So, it's apologize. There's a helicopter flying over in the background here. So, if you guys can see this, you've probably seen some of the mountain ranges out here on the beautiful Gold Coast. If you actually go that way, some of the most beautiful beaches that you'll see anywhere in the world.
Westpac Rescue helicopter, very important part of our being over here in the Gold Coast.
So the rescue helicopter that if you get eaten by a shark in the ocean, if you can hear me, if you get eaten by a shark, those guys are going to send somebody out, and there's some
get your remains.
Yeah, there's some fearless human that's going to dive in and who's willing to fight that shark for you to help save you. But kind of getting back. So I said, Piro said, we can do this, and here's what we need to do. I don't know anything about New Zealand, but I'm game. And he reached out and communicated with the national governing body and different people, and really made it known, hey, I want to help however I can help, and if connecting these guys here and helping, and I'm gonna be really, really honest. And there's a lot of young adults, and there are a lot of, and I do definitely try to sing the praises. And you notice I've had to pull Piro's accomplishments out of him. There's very much a saying in this part of the world called tall poppy syndrome. And that's, I don't want to project myself as if I'm better than everyone else. We're all the same. We're all one and the same. So we're all level, right? We get credit for helping so many Kiwi, not just basketball players, because we first started with basketball in New Zealand, and now we're helping athletes in all different sports. But the snowball effect of Piro reaching out to me, connecting us with the national governing body realizing, and this is 4 or 5 years ago, and realizing that you guys had something special there, and the sport was growing, and the sport was getting better, and there's not a lot of pathways for a lot of kids, in New Zealand, and it's very much an island. And you either, as Piro explained, you either grow up and you stick close to home and you there, or you come to Australia, or you go somewhere else, and that's kind of it. I quickly learned in doing some research, things like New Zealand right now has the highest suicide rate for teens. And if you guys have ever met me, or you've been to one of my talks, again, the hair on my arm stands up when I talk about these things. This is about leaving a legacy for me. And ultimately, I've learned so much about different cultures in this process, and seeing people who wanted to do what they could, use what you have to influence others, use your background to influence others, use your past and your experiences and your mistakes for the betterment of others. And that's what Piro was doing when he did this, and he reached out to me. And now, there's hundreds of Kiwi basketball players now playing in the United States, and have been, that they owe a lot. They owe a lot to Basketball New Zealand, the people in Basketball New Zealand, and to Piro, and to there are other people like Mark Dickel and those folks down in Christchurch and these different places that brought us in and welcomed us in blindly to provide these opportunities for this youth. So whether it's publicly out there or not, you guys are definitely responsible for a lot of that, and a lot of those guys you played with are responsible for. Those are the guys that are helping grow the. I couldn't even sit here and name everyone. There's so many people, and there is a sense of community that there's a sense of community that is there with that.
Yeah, it's that whole Whānau thing,
Go ahead, you're good.
It's that whole Whānau thing there. That we're all being together, we know what it takes, and everybody that I played with, 80% of them are all coaches within New Zealand now at some level, whether it's grassroots, NBL. We got 2 coaches overseas currently, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, and it's an awesome thing, and the more and more athletes that are coming to the States and playing in our university system, they're going to eventually come back, and you guys have single-handedly impacted a culture and especially a sports culture for sure in a lot of ways just by caring enough to look out and wanting to pay. And to be honest with you, Piro actually asked to not have any of the credit. He's like, look, I'm not doing this for, he didn't want. He actually passed it off and said, hey, I'm gonna support you. I believe you. I want to do everything I can, but I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it, for others.
It's opportunity, man. You know that.
Yeah. Well, it is opportunity, but you care enough about where you come from. You didn't have to do that. I mean,
No.
you live a pretty chill, nice life. If you've never been to the Gold Coast, it's a beautiful place.
We're going to the beach shortly.
We're going to the beach. I'm gonna film it. The guys did not bring trunks, so hopefully they're not going commando today, and they'll dive in. But yeah, it's and Nate is here. We'll shout Nate out. As you know, Nate's a big part of the podcast behind the scenes. So I'm gonna kind of wrap it up, and then for me, I think the biggest part of what I've taken out of this talk is sacrifice. There's no success without sacrifice, and that was very much within your home culture, and within your within your community, and hard work.
That's right. There's no magic water. There's no magic pill.
Water. I like that.
There's none. It's hard work.
Do you how do you what is do you know the Modi, what is the Modi word for hard work? Is there a I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, you are.
Raymond, if you were somewhere I know Raymond would know it.
So there's a
if you don't know
bit of a saying they call tato,
Yeah.
You do something good for others and it comes back to you.
Doing the right thing is always the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's there. And then helping others when they can't do anything for you.
Absolutely.
So the part that I didn't cover here that I definitely want to kind of put on the top of the cake, if you will, is recently Piro had a recognition for all of this that he's done, and from he really the highest honor you can probably get in the basketball world individually. But I know you don't look at it as an individual thing, and that's kind of why I wanted to leave it to the end. So recently, 2016, you were elected into the FIBA World Basketball. See, he doesn't the FIBA World Basketball Hall of Fame, and he hasn't brought this up at all. He's
very
not
lucky.
going to. Yeah, he's very, very. Yeah, but a lot of hard work went into that, and a lot of people's sacrifice went into that, and you have paid that forward. What did it mean to you? What do you think it meant to you from a culture standpoint, from your family, from your home country, even to, because you're a national team coach, you coach with the national team now and paying it forward that way?
I think the biggest thing is, again, a little
that's a huge honor. That's a huge honor.
Thanks, to my mum and dad and their sacrifices they gave, and that anything's possible. Like
Yeah.
a little village like Portland, 53 kids at the school,
Yeah.
and me wanting to play basketball, and everyone else wanting to play rugby league. Anything's possible.
Sure.
And you just chase your dreams and you chase them hard. I thought you were going to talk about something else there. It's got me, but I won't bring it up. But yeah, really, really humbled when I got that award.
Yeah. I did that on purpose, so I have a general idea where you probably thought I was going with it, but that, again, there is this culture of I do great, but I don't project it out individually because it's not about me. It's ultimately owed to and paid back to those that have sacrificed. And even back when you heard Piro kind of give you a brief synopsis of what the haka means, and it's celebrating and how revered the first man to die on the battlefield was. In a lot of ways, individually, that's what you did with basketball. And I don't know if you've thought about it that way, but you were the first guy to kind of go out on the battlefield and give it all you got on the biggest stage you possibly could go. And it's paved the way for, guys like Steven Adams who are playing in the NBA and those kind of things. And these guys coming up, I have zero hesitation or doubt to tell you in the next 4 years there will be other Kiwis playing in the NBA. And that's an awesome thing to see. And you put a lot of you put it all on the battlefield for that. And
Thanks,
in a very sense of that, and I know your country's massively appreciative for that. Kiwis all over the world. I joked the first time Piro and I actually met face to face was there in Wellington, and as I said, I'm a big guy. Piro's a big guy, and we're both very imposing guys. So when you walk down the street together, you walk around. People either move to the other side of the street when you're walking because these two big guys, but people, just random security guard, hey, you're Piro, and he's like, oh yeah, everybody just knows him, and he's never, at least to me, around me, he's never carried himself as any different. And he's very much, a common man in a lot of ways. And I think that culture resonates no matter if you're in business, no matter if you're in family. You're a very strong figure as a dad, but, there's, very, very distinct equal opportunities in your household for everybody, and everybody plays their part, and you guys are very, very tight knit, mainly due to Piro's wife keeping him in line and keeping him grounded, and you got to have those people. And I'm enamored. I'm enamored a lot with the Kiwi culture, and that's a big part of why I just wanted to. This is going to be different. It's going to be a different interview of some of what we've put out there, and I wanted it to be something to give a little bit of. I mean, you're a great ambassador to your country in a lot of ways, and I wanted to help you put that out there, but also for us. I think people are going to listen to this and listen to it a couple times, watch it a couple times, and listen to some of the things, not just what he was saying about his culture, but how he was saying it, and what he was actually describing. And what I mean, give me a summary, Piro. What is New Zealand culture to you?
Yeah, I just want to add to that little being ambassador for New Zealand, because a little bit more than that, because I've been living over here in Queensland for 13 years.
Yeah.
So not just an ambassador there, but I'm ambassador to the sport.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
More than has a country name to it.
Absolutely.
I want to help out the sport wherever it is.
Absolutely.
Right, but I think culture in New Zealand, we're so spoiled with the way the All Blacks act and their culture leading the front. And I got taught this recently. It's not a winning culture, because winning is an outcome. So it's what you do before and in preparation and during and the journey before the winning comes. And it's just an outcome. It may not come.
Yeah.
But if you can aim at a really high standard in a lot of things, that'll pretty much set you straight. And it's humbling, when you see the All Blacks, for an example, and this is an old example, They have a term where they sweep the sheds, you know, and a lot of other different, you know, New South Wales have taken that on.
So share with that a little bit. So what he's saying is
Well, before they leave the changing room, they make sure it's sparkling clean.
the team is the one who cleans up.
Yeah.
And this is
this
is an elite. This is one of the most elite sports.
But they're not the only one.
They're the dream team. So you think NBA basketball. They're the basketball dream team of the rugby world. They are easily the most dominant force when it comes to rugby anywhere in the world. And you can argue that if you want to, but the numbers don't lie.
But it's within the group, you know. Their expectations.
But these guys clean up after themselves.
Yeah, so they should.
These guys, we're talking.
So
about
we
guys,
all should.
Correct.
You know?
Correct.
So, but it's the expectations you set for your group, you know, and nothing else matters. It doesn't matter what the country thinks outside the group. It only matters what inside the group and the goals they set. But they have a really high expectation, and they have really high goals, and they have a really high belief. So, you know, if you keep that your norm, it's pretty much the norm.
Yeah, if you set a high standard
That's right.
for whatever you are, whether it's your family or whether it's your country or a sport or a team or a business, you know.
But
for
you know,
us,
culture is everything, because we've always seen the top dog go down.
Yeah.
You know, this team's 61-0. They're in the grand final. Bam, they lose.
So culture can defeat the mightiest of giants if your culture.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer of that. I just come back from a under-14 championship, and I went down there. I had no real expectation of us coming away winners, and I just, wow.
Your daughter played on that team.
Daughter played on that under-14 team. They came back, you know, they're down 10 in the first half. They come back and won by 15, and I just looked around me like how that.
But they're close. They have a tight knit. That team is close.
Great culture. The coaches were everything to do with their culture. They had good talent. We didn't know the talent because we knew it was pretty good, but not national champs.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we're going down to the mighty Melbourne where they got 3-4 teams in the top 4.
Sure.
And we thought one of these teams is probably going to get us.
Yeah.
And then whack.
Yep.
You know, and then it's just, wow, how'd that happen?
Yeah.
You know, and you just wonder.
Culture is everything. Man, I love that.
And these two parents who were also teachers, that's all they talked about is culture. And I was like, wow. Yeah, start of the year. A year ago.
Yeah.
1 year ago, came in, culture. Not one person, everybody plays. We'll be stronger at the end of it. You know, a couple times they had part of that second group out there, and I was grimacing like,
That's the competitive nature in you.
Yeah. And then whack. 15 points.
So you're still a student of culture even today. You saw it play out, and
it's because it challenges me as a coach sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, like I know culture's awesome, but I don't know. I might leave that girl who just hit 5 threes on for another 5 minutes.
Yeah, she might hit 5 more. Yeah.
And then whack, loss. I'm like, should have chosen culture.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that, and it's really awesome how that's actually come full circle in this talk and understanding. Culture is everything, man, that is, it sets the standard of the work ethic. I think it sets the standard of, and it's funny you talked about, you know, the All Blacks. I didn't know that, and I've maybe one of these days we can get some of the folks with the All Blacks on here because that's a whole nother beast. That man, they do it unbelievable, but I didn't know that was part of their mantra of the journey. So very much, you know, my own personal vlog and different things is actually called The Culture or The Journey, and it talks about the journey of my process. And we're actually going to take a little bit of a break here, really quick. Just hang tight with us. You know, we were just talking about, you know, culture is everything and the journey and, you know, the All Blacks and, you know, it is about the journey. It's not about the ending. And I that's very much how I do things. And, you know, it's, I don't want there to actually be an ending. So I actually enjoy the wins and the losses. I actually enjoy the losses more than I do the wins. And I know that's a little twisted, but that's because I'm learning something, and I'm getting better. And losses teach you character, right? You got to learn. I can remember as a freshman in high school, I was playing on the varsity team, and we played one of the top 5 teams in the country. Literally go out, there were nothing but a bunch of freshman guys who maybe had one senior on the team and maybe a couple sophomores, and we go out and we're playing at a university during a summer camp, and they tipped the ball off, didn't even take a dribble, tipped the ball off, got the ball tip at half court and threw a lob for a dunk from half court. And Isaiah Victor, Harold Swanigan, Lamont Barnes, Isaiah Victor went on to play at Tennessee, Lamont Barnes went to play at Temple, Harold Swanigan went on to play at Notre Dame. I mean, these guys were loaded, and we were down 65 in the third quarter, and our coach called a timeout. So suicide drills. You run a suicide. They call them 30-second drills. So you have to run it in 30 seconds. So you have to run a suicide in 30 seconds, and they called a 30-second timeout and made us run in the middle of the game because we were getting beat so bad, and people are watching. And I think we got beat 89-14, and we knew at that point that it could never ever get any worse. That was as bad as it would get, and we ended up going. It flipped. We got to be seniors, and we were one of the better teams around, and we went 27-3 and lost 3 games by a total of 7 points, and beat the daylights out of people. We're beating people 100-55 and different things. So, culture is everything. And so for those people that have a business, for those people that have a team, how do you establish? How do you day one when you meet a team for the first time, you sit down, right? You guys have a new selection or new tryouts, and you sit down, because it definitely resonates into the business world, all parts of the world. How do you establish that day one culture? What are the things? Like obviously not the finite details, but what kind of behaviors are you putting in place to do that?
Well, you put in mandatories, what you call no.
You set
compromise.
Some rules and
no compromise.
Yeah, no compromise.
No compromise. There's no compromise on this. This is what we want as a group. Why do we want it? This is how we do it. And there's no compromise. That's what you aim for every time. You might fail, but this is what you aim at. This is a no compromise. You do this to the best of your ability, and that's all we want. Just your unbelievable devotion to doing that. And if you fail, that's fine.
Yeah.
As long as we know you gave it your all to do it. So there's a couple of those, and then there's a couple things we decide as a group how we're going to be. And that's because every year your team is different.
So you kind of sit around collectively and allow them to kind of play a part in that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, this is how we want to play according to our group strength.
Yeah.
This is how we
team goals,
hide our weakness.
Yeah.
These are the things, and this is the way we go about it. And we go at it. There's a way to do it, and we do it this way. And if we need to compromise somewhere because we lack in ability, we lack in size, we lack in speed, then we have to figure out a way we can counter that.
You still got to win.
There's 50,000 ways to win.
Yeah.
You can be an all-defensive team and defend the heck out of people. You can be amazing shooters. You can be 7-footers. That way, we're not going to bounce the ball, are we? We're going to play netball against these guys.
And you've obviously done that on a massively large scale in the world. So
we inverted the way we played.
Yeah.
So the bigs become guards. The guards became bigs.
Yeah. You were kind of a part of that trend on a global scale of a point forward, in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Mainly because. So if I was playing the 4 or 5 and I threw the ball into the point guard, he had to get it up against a Pepe Sanchez or an American genius like Chris Paul, who can just turn you 15 times before the half.
Yeah.
Maybe we should give it to someone else.
Yeah.
Maybe let's just take the normal 9-to-5 job out of the point guard and say, okay, you're a big man now. Go post up.
Yeah.
This Chris Paul. Defend posts 80% of the year.
Chris Paul probably didn't play rugby growing up. He did.
But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So we have to invert it. So now I get to bring the ball up
and you were
against.
And at 6'6", you were playing center.
Yeah. So I get to bring a ball up against a Tim Duncan.
Or a 6'10" guy,
Tim
7
doesn't
foot guy.
usually guard the guy full court.
Yeah.
So now it's easy.
Yeah.
All right. And now I get to feed maybe our 7-footer who's playing the 4 against their 7-footer
Yeah.
who can't defend the wing now.
Yeah.
You know, and so everybody's inverted. Wow, this is easier.
Yeah.
If we go back to the traditional way to play, and I try and go against Tim Duncan in post, I don't think 1 out of 10 is very good for me.
So your coaches very much didn't, they didn't moan and groan and
Fight
play
it.
and play pity on, oh well, we don't have size, or we don't have this, or we don't have that. Let's play to our strengths and use what we got and find a way to win.
Yeah, let's change the game, change the rules. Let's put guys in different positions where we don't think these guys have guarded before. So now they don't know how to defend a 7-foot wing on a wing with their center.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it worked.
Fine.
For a half.
Yeah, they figured it out. They got some smart guys on the other side of the floor too. So those guys are, and it sounds like you guys had some unbelievable coaches. Probably, coaching from a knowledge of the game was probably equal. The difference is they literally are loaded with an all-star team to make those adjustments to change, right? So because you guys definitely knocked off some teams that you shouldn't have beat, so they weren't able to. They didn't have it. They didn't have the abundance of talent of being able to do that. So
I think it wasn't always abundance of talent. It was they were 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, or 5th behind the US. So on their off day, Greece, Yugoslavia, I think the other team was Spain.
Yeah,
they did beat the US.
Yeah,
right on the off day.
Yeah,
but the other 10 years they didn't.
Yep.
So we get 1 or 2 chances. We haven't been to the World Champs every year.
Yeah.
We've been there 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
Ever.
Yeah.
These guys have been there ever since it's been going.
Yeah.
So they get a chance to play the way they want to play every 3-4 years.
Yeah.
They get a chance to play every 2 years at the Olympics the way they want to play. We don't. We've been Olympics twice.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
The next guys after us, they're desperate to play in the.
Oh, you guys, the hunger there to get back is it's pretty wild.
That's right.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
And we're desperate for them to get that as well.
Yeah. And it's the getting back, because it's that pride of, we know how we can represent, and it's these next group of young guys, they want to displace you in a lot of ways. They want, and that's okay. And that's
sick of hearing our names.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm sick of it too, because it's over years ago. My kids are looking at me and just thinking I'm a dinosaur.
And your boys are a part of that. Your boys are
Absolutely.
a part of where they can go after
that.
that.
The system in the Asia League is awesome. It's really awesome. We get to play every 2 months.
Yep.
2 games at home or away in Asia, and we get to play the best.
A lot more
Asia.
practice. A lot more
Way
practice.
more. We've had 8 games already. Got another 2 coming up end of November.
You guys, basketball has definitely grown. There's been a lot of you guys have kids now of former tall ferns and tall blacks now are now in the system, and it's kind of
trialing. It's unbelievable seeing my kids trialing there.
Yeah.
And
you and one of your teammates or your national females who played in the nationals with you. You guys are sitting there sharing stories while your kids are out there playing and doing
crazy.
that, and it's awesome. And again, it goes back to culture. So Pirro, as he said, starting culture. He digs in and he establishes that day one culture. He sets a standard, and it's setting a standard, and then also allowing that team to help come up with some of those goals. And I'm actually going to take that with me. So I'm that's probably not something that I am very good at, as in running a business. So I'm gonna take that. Now I would challenge anybody here in thinking of it. It makes total sense. If you're not involving your team, the ones who are putting the blood, sweat, and tears, as you would say, whether you're in a sports team or in the office, grueling it out and grinding it out, and doing everything they can to give it all they got. Allow them to play a part in that, in setting those goals, because I think it makes total sense. And some of us, we as Pirro said, it's when you're at the top, you catch all the responsibility when it doesn't go well, and as it should be. And we put our blinders on to, it's a focus of win, 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 win,
Tunnel
win,
vision.
win. Yeah,
Yeah.
win, win, win. When you sometimes lose sight, and that's why Piro's friendship means so much to me, is because he's one of those guys who he'll challenge something if I say something, or he'll challenge, hey, well, why are you doing this, or what about this, and I will with him, and I think that's how I gained his trust and his respect. Is from the first day we met, we rode around Wellington in a car, and I had a very frank conversation that says, well, why are you doing this, or you should be doing this, or maybe don't look at it that way, maybe here, and we need people like that. We need people that we can trust, and you need that within your team. And there's definitely a sense of ownership that I can see that where that comes out of, hey, we all have a common goal, because that's the goal we all want. That's hard to do. That's hard to do, especially in a business. It's even harder because some people want time off, some people want more money, some people want reward and trips to go do these different things. So it's really, really hard to do. So I'm going to we'll wrap it up here. This has been definitely a unique podcast so far for what we've done. It's been different. It's definitely off the beaten path a little bit. There's definitely a lot of sports there involved. So I hope you guys have enjoyed, having Piro here. I really wish we could have had Brad here as a part of this, but I'll send him a couple selfies when we get down to Surfers Paradise and let him see the horrible scenery I get to enjoy. I do have to work tonight, and I do have to give a talk and all those different things, but we're going to enjoy some of the sunlight. So Piro, it's been you guys, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you a part of this, but ultimately your friendship means the world to me. It means more to me than any of it else, and I appreciate you allowing us to share a little bit of your story, share the culture that you've had. So hopefully you've enjoyed your time on here.
Yeah,
It's hot. It's
very
hot in
new
the
to me.
gym.
But yeah, I'll get better at it.
It's all right.
Like holding a mic.
Yeah, if Piro gets a little quiet, he's a massive individual. So if it sounds like he's a little mouse, I've had to direct him to get in front of the mic a little bit. So this is not something Piro normally does. It's way out of his comfort zone in a lot
Very
of ways.
much so. It's not that hot. I'm just sweating.
Yeah. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll definitely put some tidbits in the description and into the notes. And, do a little research. Go to YouTube, search Piro Cameron, search Tall Blacks, search New Zealand basketball. Go see New Zealand. It's a beautiful country. Come over, rent an RV, drive around, take in the sights. Beautiful, beautiful place. And until we hop on here next time, I hope you've enjoyed a peek into New Zealand, into basketball, and into the culture of a very dear friend who also happens to be one of the best basketball players in the history of the game around the world. And I'm honored to have you on here. Thank you guys, and thank you, Piro.
Cheers, Cheers, Jolis.